Hey guys, it's Audra, and I am here today with my mid-year book Freakout tag. I have not done a wrap-up video in a long time of the books that I've read. I think since COVID started, and that would be online teaching started, and so I figured this would be a good way to just kind of update you on what I've read, what I've liked, what I've not liked, and then you could also share with me as well. This is also the second time I filmed it today because the first time the video crashed and didn't save. New computer problems, I guess. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. But let's go ahead and get into it. These are the 13 tags that you will see in this video, and you can tell me your answers as well in the comments below. So the first one is the best book that you've read so far this year. This year I've read 54 books so far, and my favorite, I believe, is going to be The Grace Year by Kim Liggett. And this one is different from what I normally read. I find that ends up being the best book of the year normally for me. This is more of a dystopian. It's about a community that 16-year-old girls have to leave and go live somewhere else for a year and kind of survive. And because they have these magical powers that can take over men and make them do crazy things. And so obviously, there's a lot of pushback against the patriarchy and talk about how girls treat other girls. And I just love the main character, Tyranny, and it is well done. I highly recommend it. It is my favorite so far, and I will probably reread it because it is that good. The second question is your favorite sequel of the year, and I don't read a lot of sequels. It's one of my least favorite things, and I'm not very good at sticking with a series. But I did read Beartown, and then following Beartown, I read Us Against You just at the beginning of when our stay-at-home order started. And so this is by Frederick Bachman. Beartown is a story about a community that is deeply involved in the youth sports and hockey. And their community, it suffers violence and sexual abuse, and it's how they treat each other, how they treat the kids involved in this. It is definitely a in-depth, hard read to look at those instances, and it made me tear up a couple times. It is so well written. Everything by Frederick Bachman is golden. Highly recommend. And it just blows my mind that it's translated work, and it still sounds so well written in English that I cannot imagine what it reads like in his first language. So this is highly recommended. They're going to make Beartown into a movie or something, and I cannot wait to see that. So the third one is a new release that you have not got to read yet. I'm just going to share with you the newest one that I have, and that is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. This is book of the month, but as many people on BookTube here have shared, I will no longer be purchasing through them due to their comments towards the Black community here on BookTube. So anyways, Riley Sager this is the fourth book now that he has written, and I really enjoyed his first thriller, Final Girls. Not so much the next two, and so I'm hoping that I enjoy this one. I love the green of it, though. But this is, I think, a thriller, kind of maybe a paranormal thriller about a girl, and it's kind of a book within a book with her father's haunting memoir, maybe a haunted house. I don't know. I'm going into it blind, and I'm excited to get to that one soon, and it is the newest release that I have acquired. The fourth question on the tag is your most anticipated release, and the most anticipated books are actually kids' books. So we have Front Desk by Kelly Yang. The sequel to this is called Three Keys, and it comes out in September, I believe. This is about Mia Tang and her family who now own a motel, and they hide immigrants in their motel, and there's a lot of conversations about poverty and race, and it's done in a middle grade tone. And this is the book I read to my kids during stay-at-home orders online, and it is so good. Cannot wait to read the sequel. I'm also so excited for Your Name is a Song. It's a picture book that's coming out all about the gift of a name, and I'm going to read it to my kids on the first day of school. It's always something that I do. I have over 500 kids, like 550 probably, and I never read their name off of a roster, even the kinders. like the kindergartners. They tell me what their name is, and we go from there. So I'm excited. That's going to be the first day of school book forever. So the fifth question on here is a book that disappointed you. The book that I'm going to share is called In 5 Years. I don't even know the name of the author. This book has been highly recommended all over the place, and for me, as a cancer survivor, it's a no-go. So this would be a spoiler warning, I guess, so you can fast forward if you don't want to know the ending of this. But I do not like any books that use cancer as a plot twist or a like climax of a story, and that's what this did. It is just absolutely not. No. And so we're just going to move on to the next one, which is, so not the disappointment, but the surprise. What surprised you? What book surprised you the most? I'm going to go with The Unfortunates by Kim Liggett. At the beginning of this story, I was not into it. The majority of the story, I was like, this is like a 2-star book. It's just not that great. It's very repetitive. But this is a story about a teenager who is charged with affluenza, and he had killed some kids in a car wreck. And before he like turns himself in or something, he goes on this quest of survival in this like mountains that every male in his family has done for generations. So it sounds very pretentious, which it totally is. But what happens is during that trip, he gets lost in these caves along with some kids that were there for like a school trip. And there's like weird things happening, like these kids end up like dying, like somebody is following them, or there's like this presence there, and these kids are dying along the way trying to survive and get out. It's a very short novel, but the twist at the end is a surprise. I went from thinking the entire time it was going to be a 2-star book, it went to a 5-star book, and so it was definitely a surprise. I can't tell you anything else or tell you what book it reminds me of because it would totally give that away. So with that is number 7, a new author or one that is new to you. And obviously, The Unfortunates and The Grace Year I've listed so far are by the same author, Kim Liggett. And so that's who I am going to say is my new author for this year. She's written a couple others that I need to get my hands on to see if they are just as good, because I've given those 2 5 stars, and I can't wait to see what she comes out with next. The 8th question is one that I never like. It's weird. It's Fictional Crush. I've just never been into that, I guess. And mostly I read YA, so that's just strange. But I guess I will go with the father of This Is How It Always Is. I think his name is Penn. Yes, Rosie and Penn. So Rosie and Penn have a great relationship. They're very funny. I love like their voice in this book. But I guess as a father, he is very accepting of his child who is born male and would like to be a female. And so like even at the age of like 5, like super, super young, they move so that this child can lead that life, feel safe, feel loved, and they're just accepting, like they never question it. And I guess that would be like a father, like a man like that. I don't know. Like I said, I don't really like that question, but I guess Penn from This Is How It Always Is would be my answer. We have favorite character. So characters are kind of not, I'm more like plot driven, I guess, than character driven, but I have realized I really like a very strong young female lead that kind of fights against the situation she's put in. So for that, I would mention Dimple from When Dimple Met Rishi, because her family wants her to get married. They set her up behind her back at this like coding camp, and she fights against it. But I liked her. I loved Essie from the Book of Essie. That one is about a Christian family that makes millions of dollars off this TV show, and Essie, the youngest, gets pregnant, and they try to hide it, and she puts them in their place, and that was a good one. Also Liz from You Should See Me in a Crown. I just finished that one. She's strong, she's powerful, she's beautiful. She is trying to get a scholarship so she can go to college by becoming prom queen, which is a problem because she goes to a Christian school, and She is a lesbian and has fallen in love with the new girl at school, and it's her still getting what she deserves of life inside that community. And then, who was the other one? Oh, Tyranny from The Grace Year, which I already talked about. So, strong female leads. I'm here for it. Number 10 was a book that made you cry, and that one is All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. This book is a memoir manifesto, is what it is labeled as. And this is a story, actually a memoir, of George M. Johnson and his experience growing up as a Black queer boy and all the intersectionalities within that of his experiences. And it is so beautiful. I listened to the audiobook. It was narrated by him, which made it even more powerful. So it made me cry of happiness and just sadness. There is some like violence from incest type of thing that happens, just to be aware of. But I was mostly drawn in by his connections to his family, how powerfully he felt about his brother's child, which, that hit me in the feels because my nieces are my world. And then also his grandmother battling cancer, which obviously hit me hard too. So that made me cry. It made me cry a few times, and it was a very, very short book, but it's well done, and I highly recommend it. A book that made me happy would be Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I loved Alex and Henry so much. You have the first son of the United States. The president is a woman. She's amazing. And then you have the, is it first son? Prince of England, I think is what they, Prince of Wales. And they are like enemies to lovers. And it is just adorable. I thought was YA. It definitely is more new adult because it gets hot and steamy, but they hide it from the world and then they don't, and it's just so good. It is much longer than I thought it would be, but I thoroughly enjoyed their story together, and it made me very happy. The most beautiful book I have bought, I'm going to have to give it to Slay. I recently got this one. It's kind of got like a gold foil. How cool is that? First of all, she's gorgeous. The colors are gorgeous. And I heard about this through That Awkward Teacher. And this is about Kira Johnson, who's a 17-year-old gamer. And there's like this community of Black gamers, and they play a game called Slay. And then somebody is murdered in Kansas City, which is where I live, over a dispute in the Slay world. And so I'm just excited to read this. It is stunning. And even like, look at that. Ooh, so pretty. Can't wait to get to that. I'm also going to mention, because I think it's kind of like on the same color palette that I'm into, is Untamed by Glennon Doyle. This is more of like a memoir, I think, or a biography. I've heard nothing but great things about that one. And so I think that kind of plays into books I need to read by the end of the year. I mean, come on. I have so many books that I need to read that it's ridiculous, including this Untamed one and the Slay one. But also, I'm really intrigued right now by nonfiction, by memoirs, like as you could hear me talking about a couple of those. For whatever reason, I am leaning a lot towards wanting to read this one next, Hidden Valley, Inside the Mind of an American Family. This is a story of a family that has 12 children, which 6 of them are diagnosed with schizophrenia. And so I'm just intrigued by the psychology behind it. I've heard great things about it. I want to read that one. And I'm sure there is a lot more because I have a lot of books on those shelves back there that need to get read. So anyways, those are the books for my book tag. I can't wait to see what the second half of this year brings. 2020 needs to get it together. The books are great, but everything else, wow. Anyways, let me know what you have read recently that you have really loved down below. If you've read any of these, I'd love to chat with you about them. But yeah, we'll see you hopefully soon for a July wrap-up. We'll see how that goes. Have a great day.